G'day all and welcome back to Freo Faithful. Today I'll be previewing tomorrow night's clash against Hawthorn at Optus Stadium. It feels like a bit of a mini-final. The lead up to this game has been very, very interesting all week. There's been a lot happening off field. There's been a lot happening that's related to what's happening on field. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for the game to just get underway and leave all the drama behind us that this week has held. I think the main story that's sort of come out of this week has been the Justin Longmuir fireback at David King. Gave him a little clip behind the ears, which I thought was a brilliant response by JL. I've been pretty critical on how he handles himself in press conferences, and you know, sometimes public speaking's not everyone's forte. But I thought he absolutely nailed what he said about David King in the presser on Thursday. So yeah, I was a big fan of. I've been a big fan of JL's week. I just hope he can back it up with coaching us to a win, and the players have to play their part as well. We've made 2 changes. Alex Pearce, our skipper, is out injured. He's been back for 1 game. I mean, what a story it's been for Moose. What a story. Ever since the start of that winning streak, I mean, he played in the Giants game, I want to say. He played in the Giants game. He then played in the Port Adelaide game, got suspended for 3 matches in the Port Adelaide game. He overturned the suspension of the tribunal, and then he was out for 3, 4, 5 weeks anyway with injuries. Come back for a week. Certainly wasn't at his best against Sydney last weekend, and now he's out injured again. It did say soreness on the team change sheet, so hoping it's not too serious and hoping he just misses this week. It's what soreness usually means. I was at main training on Thursday, and Moose visibly didn't train, but I really wasn't concerned. I didn't really think much of it because a lot of the time Alex Pearce doesn't train during the week, and he's usually just on light duties. All I saw him doing was just some light kicking with Luke Ryan and Matt Johnson. So, I wasn't really concerned, and then teams dropped and Moose wasn't there. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate, but he's one that's out. And Neil Erasmus has also been omitted, and I think a few people are starting to come to the conclusion that maybe Neil Erasmus's time in purple done and dusted. I don't necessarily want it to happen, but he hasn't exactly set the league on fire. Like, I've quite liked his last few weeks, but maybe he needed to make a little bit more of an impression on the coaching staff to hold his spot, and someone had to go out. Like, I think people were going to be unpleased with whoever we dropped to bring Switkowski in, who is an absolute must-play, like nailed on Best 22 Twitter. Our forward half pressure just went down in the dumps ever since he's been out of the side, so I certainly think that, you know, there was always going to be criticism on whoever went out, and I think Neil Erasmus was probably the most vulnerable of that midfield mix. Something I'm also thinking about is, with Erasmus going out, he's a midfielder. With Switkowski coming in, he's a forward. Nathan O'Driscoll will have to get some midfield time. He didn't get a single CBA against Sydney last weekend. You would have seen my sort of midfield breakdown I did midweek from the Swans game. If you haven't already checked that out, please go and do so. And I sort of mentioned that Raz was statistically one of our worst midfielders and played his best footy coming from the wing and pushing into the stoppage and equalising with Goulden. We don't necessarily need to do that with someone like Massimo D'Ambrosio. So, yeah, I think they probably saw he didn't play very well on the inside, played really well on the wing, but we didn't really need that sort of attribute from Raz this week. So, yeah, he was quite vulnerable, and maybe that opens the door for a trade at the end of the season. I think we probably needed to play him right till the end to even give him a chance of staying. But yeah, who knows? That's pure speculation at this point. And the other end for Alex Pearce is Oscar McDonald. So he's been selected over Josh Draper, over Hugh Davies. I'm fine with Omac. He had a bit of a shaky game against... Who did he play against? St Kilda. He had a bit of a shaky game against St Kilda, but then Josh Draper before that was shaky for 3 weeks. And Alex Pearce was shaky on the weekend. So I'm not sure what's happening with that main key back role. But yeah, I've got faith in Omac. He's played a bit of good footy this season. It was really his first bad game against St Kilda. So hopefully Omac steps up big against a very, very good tall Hawthorn key forward lineup, and they have brought in a key forward. Kausha has come into the team for Max Ramsden, who's been omitted, and Seamus Mitchell's out injured. Finn McGuinness comes in, which is really interesting. So Max Ramsden would have rucked alongside Lloyd Meek, and that would have made it a significantly more difficult task for Darcy and Jackson, but I've decided to omit him, which probably means maybe Chol will chop out in the ruck, which certainly makes the ruck battle, I mean, not easy, because Lloyd Meek's a fantastic ruckman, but it makes it certainly sway into our favour. And Finn McGuinness coming in is a really interesting one. a couple years ago, he was known as probably the best tagger in the comp, sort of the only tagger in the comp. And he shut down Nick Dacos multiple times. So I'm not sure if they brought him in to tag. I've looked at Hawthorn's bench, and he's probably going to be sub. Their bench is Chunkwuth Jaff, Connor Nash, Josh Ward, Jack Ginnivan, McGuinness. Nash won't be sub, Ward won't be, Jaff won't be, Ginnivan won't be. So I'm assuming McGuinness will be. But yeah, it's a very, very sort of interesting thought. Who'll be sub for Hawthorn. Maybe McGuinness starts a sub, and if someone's getting off the leash or off the chain, maybe he comes on to shut down someone. But I listened to Sam Mitchell's press conference. I reckon they're going to run a tag. I think if they run a tag, they might do McGuinness off half forward on Jordan Clark. But that's the only thing I can sort of see them doing. It's baffling why they wouldn't run a tag. I think tagging Caleb Strong is the first major part into beating Fremantle. That's been the formula this season. But if they don't, I reckon Seb is going to have a big game. But that's pure speculation. Just what I heard from Sam Mitchell in his presser. And then Kausha we're going to have to be very careful of. He'll have pressure to perform. They've got Mitchell Lewis in the VFL playing very well. It's Kausha's second game of the year. And yeah, he's been playing very well in the VFL. So yeah, him and Chol and Gunston in particular are in very good form, as is Mabior. So yeah, we're going to have our work cut out for us down in the back line. I've already mentioned the Alex Pearce injury. The other players on the injury list, Sam Sturt, he's not on the injury list. He played for Peel last weekend, kicked a goal in a game where Peel got smashed. Didn't have a lot of service. But as I said, I was at main training yesterday, and Sturdy was back in the rehab group. Now, that might have been because Peel have a bye this weekend, and they're just, I don't know, not wanting to risk him in an 18v18. I'm not sure what the reason is, but maybe he's pulled up a bit sore like Alex Pearce did. I'm not sure, but he was back in the rehab group, which wasn't ideal. Didn't look too bad though. He was running fine. Another bloke who was in the rehab group was Cooper Simpson. He's aiming for a round 20 return against West Coast. Maybe that round 20 returns through the waffle. Personally, I'd inject him straight back in, unless there's a chance that we're rushing him. It's been a long layoff, but I feel like with an AC joint, there can't be much of a risk there. It's not like a soft tissue or whatnot. So, hey, I'm not a physiotherapist. I'm not a coach. I'm not a member of the high performance staff, but that's sort of my my surface level sort of analysis on if Cooper Simpson can come back into the AFL side straight away. Fifey's 2 to 3 weeks away. He was in the rehab group, and Hayden Young, funnily enough, wasn't in the rehab group, but he won't be playing this weekend, but they're aiming to have him back for next weekend. He was playing 18v18 match sim, Hayden Young, at full strength, and my God, he looked good. He was tackling Sarong, tackling Brayshaw. It was unbelievable. Hayden Young played so well. I thought for sure, like, Freo were doing a little bit of a sneaky. Remember a few weeks ago against the Suns, they did a sneaky. They named Fife when he was still 2 weeks away. I thought that's what they were going to do, but no, it sounds like Hayden Young's just a very eager man, and he'll probably play waffle next week, is what JL sort of was talking about. But they also could, play him against Collingwood. Maybe he's a sub against Collingwood. That'd be a really, really nice luxury. But yeah, we don't want to rush a Youngie back because he's going to be so important towards the pointy end of the year. And only 2 real important guys on the Hawks injury list. It's real short. Talking of important guys, though, arguably 2 of the most important players, Will Day and Josh Weddle. Will Day, obviously the best midfielder. He's been out for so long. They've sort of learned to play without him. That being said, they went through a bit of a dour patch when he wasn't in the team. So he's still a very, very important part of that Hawthorn lineup. And Josh Weddle he's their best rebounder. And I'm going to get into the keys to win now. And my first point is front half pressure. We absolutely have to bring it. No, Josh Weddle massively plays into our favour. He's one of the most damaging rebounders in the comp. However, they do have other guys. Carl Amon and Jarman Impey are in really good form. They're, really smart ball users. And even Blake Hardwick can rebound from the back line and will most likely play a lockdown role on Shea Bolton. Bolton will probably get a fair bit of midfield time to try to shake that off. But when Bolts is in the forward line, or when Bolts is in the midfield, and maybe Hardwick stays back and plays as an extra rebounder. So it's going to be interesting. But no, Josh Weddle's huge. We can't be naive because of the Amons and the Impies of the world, but it's really, really big. And that is because that's how Hawthorn play their best footy. They rebound from the back. They play super quick. Statistically, we're the slowest ball-moving side in the comp, and Hawthorn are one of the quickest. They're not the quickest, but if you watch Hawthorn play, they move the ball really quickly. I just think contest is so important, and once you win field position from the contest, our forward half pressure has to be massive. And I know that's an obvious sort of statement that field position's huge, but I think the addition, especially of Sam Swiatkowski, should give us a great shot at owning that field position. And, Hawthorn play really, really well when it's, chaotic and they can get it to their smalls in the forward line. And we want the ball out of their forward line as much as possible. There have been a few games where there have been large stages where the game is lived, North Melbourne's front half or St Kilda's front half. Particularly Sydney's on the weekend. North Melbourne and St Kilda, we got away with it because their forward lines aren't very good. But Sydney, we really got a reality check on what happens if you let good forwards get to work and if you let the contest get on top of you. So we've got to be really cautious about not letting them get out of the back half too easy and really apply that pressure, because our inside 50 tackle numbers have gone down drastically ever since Switter's been out of the team. I've looked at our bench. It looks like Isaiah Dudley will probably be sub. So, that's another small that, I think Duds has applied some reasonably good pressure. Even if he doesn't lay tackles, I think he causes a fair few turnovers in the front half. So it'll probably, load the responsibility even more on some of our taller guys. We know Pat Voss and even Jai Amos apply some pretty good pressure. Murphy Reed can do that, and Michael Frederick has spurts of being really good at that. But Sam Swiatkowski to be our main guy in the front half to really limit that Hawthorn rebound. And I just mentioned contest. It'll be wet, and as I mentioned, Hawthorn really, really like chaos in the forward half. While we have been a good wet weather team this year, it's also Hawthorn's bread and butter. We have to be super, super cautious of it. We don't want it living down there like it did against Sydney, because, as I've mentioned, we got a reality check. Sydney have some really, really good talent in their forward half, and Hawthorn's talent in their forward half probably even better. Dylan Moore pushes up from half forward into the stoppage, Nick Watson, Jack Ginnivan, and then their connection to their tools has been fantastic in recent weeks. To Gunston, to Chol, and now they're adding a Kausha Dio, who hasn't played much AFL footy this year, but when he gets going, he's a very, very good talent. So, yeah, if it lives down there, we'll be in a bit of trouble, and we've really got to limit that. And I think ascendancy at the contest and front half pressure really work side by side in winning this game. I'm not sure whether they'll tag or not, but shutting down Newcomb and Warple will be critical, no matter what. If they tag, if we have to go head-to-head with them, we've got to work as a team, absolutely. I'm not sure if Kong and Ash is going to go to Sarong. I'm not sure if it's going to be Finn McGuinness. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. We'll find out on the day. I mean, all the lead up to the tag that was going to be ran in the St Kilda game, and there was no tag for the whole of the first quarter, first half, until Hugo Garcia went somewhere in the second half. So, look, there might not be a tag. There might be. I'm not sure, but let's just not get too caught up in it. We lost to a better Hawthorn team last year by only 2 goals. When we had Jackson rucking, and he got manhandled by Meek. We've now got Sean Darcy in. Sean Darcy matches up far better against Lloyd Meek with the big body. I think that'll give us a really good advantage in the middle of the ground to tag team Meek and Chol. And I think just getting first usage is going to be super, super important. So if we can take that confidence from how well we played against Hawthorn for 3 quarters last year, with only one probably undersized ruck, now playing 2 proper ruckman, Sean Darcy being the big, strong one that can really match up well against me, I think we can take a great load of sort of confidence out of that. And my final point is we have to be unsociable. We were really soft against Sydney. I think it's been well documented this week that we let the mids get bullied around, particularly Caleb Sarong. James Jordan kicks that goal. All the Sydney players get stuck into Sarong. You don't see a single Fremantle player go and get stuck into them back. It was pathetic, some of our on-field leadership. I'm going to put it bluntly, it was so poor from some of our so-called leaders. Caleb Sarong's our vice-captain. Andy Brayshaw's going to be captaining us this weekend, but they're basically co-captains when Alex Pearce is out of the team. You stand up for your captain like that, because Caleb Strong stands up for every single player on the field when he is able to do his thing. You've got to let Caleb Strong get to work, and you've got to let him be the leader and the incredible player he knows he is, and we know he is. So whether it's Nash and McGuinness or no tag, we have to play tough, we have to play hard. This is basically a final, and Hawthorn pounce on soft teams. We responded really well earlier this year when we played Adelaide, when we were called soft and unruthless and not fearless or fearless. No, not fearless enough is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, and we responded really well. It was a Melbourne game. We were soft and we were called out for it, and we responded against a really good team in the Crows. So hopefully, sort of a similar thing happens. We didn't do too much wrong against Sydney. There's not too much we have to tweak, really. It was basically just the fundamentals and how we sort of executed in front of goal that lost us the game against a super good Swans team who are playing at a top 6 standard at the moment with Errol Goulden and Callum Mills back in the team. So, yeah, I think there's been a lot of negativity throughout the week. I got my negativity out on the podcast on Tuesday and the video I made throughout the week. But I'm in a really positive mindset and I'm more confident for the game this week than I was last week against Sydney. I tipped against us last week. I'm tipping us this week. I'm going to go the Dockers by 4. I think this is certainly a game we bounce back in. And it's going to be such a big game. It's going to be a final Saturday night, 50k at Optus. And I think we absolutely have to show up, and I think we will show up. I think they're really going to go out there and play for each other, and they're going to play as a team. And I think we're going to get a good win. And, all of a sudden we'll have 7 wins and 8, and we're not looking too bad. So yeah, this game is an 8-pointer. If we lose, we're basically a game in percentage, basically 2 games out of the 8. So it is the biggest game of the season. It is absolute must win, and we have to rock up and show Hawthorn who we are, because last week wasn't who we were. And we have to get back to the Freo trademark and having guys like Sam Switkowski who sort of show our trademark. Week in, week out is going to be so big. I mentioned their tag. I'm also not sure if Corey Wagner will get a job. Maybe it's a Newcomb, maybe it's a Warple. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Wagner does go to Newcomb. I think that's someone Wags can probably get a hold of. Nuke's a great player, but I think Wags is a really, really good tagger as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. There's so much to play out. The fan cans will be live tomorrow with myself after the game. We'll be going pretty late, so make sure you join for that to get your thoughts out on the game. Stay across everything on Spotify, rate us 5 stars over there, as well as the Instagram. There's heaps of content coming out on game day and throughout the week. After the Dockers, let's hope we get the dub. See you next time.